Hey, David, how are you? Long time no see, well, except for on the SAP live sessions I've seen you. How are you?
I am terrific. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How could I have a Leaders Who Care series and not have David Meltzer? I mean, come on.
That's a blessing.
You're getting 1% better every day.
And still loading. Yeah, I'm incremental, exponential, and segmented. That's my secret sauce.
Well, geez, that kind of answers already one of my questions, I think. I'm not sure. That's, you're like Robin Williams with Jay Leno. Jay Leno used to say, all I have to do is say, hey, Robin, and the rest is history.
That's Bobby Bell, the Hall of Fame Kansas City Chief. He's the best interviewer in the world. All you got to do is say, how you doing, Bobby? And you sit back for 30 minutes and let him go.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but it's great. No, I'm super glad to get reconnected, and just for anybody who, if there is somebody out there that doesn't know you, can you just introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm Dave Meltzer, co-founder of Sports One Marketing. I've worked in law, technology, sports, but the last 3 years really on a mission to empower others to be happy. In fact, I want to create a collective consciousness of happiness by making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. Through my own brand, what I'm doing practically is I have a podcast called The Playbook, a TV show called Elevator Pitch. I speak, I have books, I do executive coaching, private group coaching, and free trainings every Friday for the world, which is a vehicle. I'm on the SAP series as well with their Innovation University and the global initiatives for the UN. I'm the chairman of Unstoppable Foundation, which is very important to me, and the chief chancellor of Junior Achievement University, two of the philanthropies that I'm very, very involved with. But overall, I'm being and have been of service, and really look forward to being on here, Mark, because you and I share that same vision.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have to start a company for large business cards.
I just put res ipsa loquitur. That's literally on my signature. Res ipsa loquitur. For those people that don't know what that means, it means that which speaks for itself, because it's so annoying when people list out best-selling author, top 5 this, top 11 this, 3.5 inches of this. It's like, okay, already, I'm dead. I'm res ipsa loquitur. Look me up.
No, I'm glad you shared, because I do know your background and you are making a difference. And I'm going to have to think of some other questions that you answered already. This is really ridiculous. You put me on the spot. But I do have the first I want to start with, and right up your alley, which is why I'm having you here, is Simon Sinek, if you will, made the why famous with all that, and I've loved it before, I loved it ever since he's done that. Share with us your why and why you do what you do.
That's so awesome, because my why is so peculiar, because it's a what. I think whys are overrated. I think everybody knows what their why is. It's to help somebody or something. And the problem is we get stuck thinking about what it is for our why. And whether it's what do we do with our time with productivity, or what do we do with our time with accessibility? Accessibility being, how are we accessible to others, and how are we accessing what we want? And most importantly, what do we do with our gratitude? How do we find those light, love, and lessons in everything that we're doing? And so I really start with the what, and making sure that my activities are aligned with my values, which today I think is a great piece of advice. I tell everyone, take inventory of your values every day, and don't be afraid of being a hypocrite. I right above res ipsa loquitur, I put unconditionally, and my business partner Warren Moon asked me, why do you put unconditionally in your emails? I said, because I can't put it hypocritically. It's not good for the brand. But the truth is, I try to be the biggest hypocrite in the world. I really do. And the reason I do is because if I'm taking inventory of my values, personal, experiential, giving and receiving values, and if I'm focused, we talked about incremental acceleration, growth, and segmentation. If I'm growing every day, then I should be a hypocrite almost every day, because that means I've made mistakes and learned lessons, and I'm a different person with different values today, because I'm actually expanding, growing, and accelerating. So what is my why? Like I said, very peculiar. It probably confuses a lot of people, but I have helped people make so much money knowing their what. And then guess what comes rearing its beautiful head? The why.
I love it. Well, thanks for the interview, because you answered all my questions, which I knew was going to happen. So, but no, it's spectacular, and I want to talk about what differentiates you as a leader who care, because in my experience, I'm sure yours, it's taken almost decades to finally get to the point, and you mentioned it briefly, where corporate brands, family offices and whatnot are realizing that they do have to align with social impact to do as good as in everything from making money, the community, etc. They've also realized it helps clearly now attract talent, because the young leaders are only going to places to work with leaders who care. And obviously it's great for business to do that. So you've been deeply engaged in sports. There's no doubt. By the way, I love Warren Moon, a little side thing here, because I'm Canadian, and the Canadians took him in when no one else would take him in to be a quarterback with the Edmonton Eskimos. And I love the way he talks about visualization of the game and everything. He's a superstar. So he doesn't, I've met him a couple of times through your things, but doesn't know me, but you can tell him an ex-Montreal Alouette fan loved him when he played for the Eskimos. So after that whole long time, you've also been involved to a great degree with Unstoppable Foundation. So you got the balance of the sports, Unstoppable. What differentiates you, as I said, as one of the leaders who care from those experiences and dealing with leaders of both worlds?
Yeah, I think understanding the two currencies that exist, and this is a blend, a reconciliation that is a practice of mine. And my journey is one of understanding my relationship to the first currency, which is money. There's three worlds in that currency. I grew up in a world of not enough. I had a single mom, 6 kids. I used to pack my dinner in a paper bag. But my goal in life was to buy my mom a house and a car. And I had attached my emotions to money. Money was going to buy me happiness and love, because there's the only time there wasn't happiness or love in my life was when there was financial world, and moving into the world of just enough of everything for everyone, where 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. I bought my mom the house and the car, reaffirmed that money bought love and happiness. And then through circumstances, 2 years before I lost everything. I know this is confusing to most people, because most people know, I lost over $100 million. But 2 years before that, I went through my quantum shift. I learned that money doesn't buy happiness or love, but it does allow you to shop. And I needed to start shopping for the right things. I had to stop buying things I didn't need. I had to stop buying things to impress people I didn't like. I had to put purpose. My what needed to align with the why. And so I shifted the paradigm of value and started to live my life of service, understanding that money was still a currency, right? With a green card, you can buy so much, gold card more, platinum card more, black card more. But then I started working with faith. And, not in the religious context. I believe in almost every religion as long as it makes you feel good. But for me, faith is a great source of currency. And that faith allows the aggregate of what I think, say, do, believe, and even the unconscious competencies that are inherent in what I've ancestrally inherited, as well as past lifetimes or future lifetimes. I believe that my frequency, my characteristics, my obsessions, addictions, my personality all create a combo of the law of Goya, which is John Asseroff taught me, get off your ass, all the way through my conscious, subconscious, and unconscious being to the law of attraction, and where I can live in a world of more than enough of everything, for everyone. And so I see everything coming through me now, not for me, in that world of more than enough. And I do it with appreciation, meaning, I want everything to come through me. I'm grateful for having it. Then I add value. If a car appreciates or a house appreciates, you add value. Then I give it away. So my biggest journey in life or practice is to clear the connections on each side of me. The one that's connected to the greatest source of power, light, and lessons, and the one that's connected to everything else. And once again, that's where the what and the why is so important, because if you don't know what it is, you can't clear those connections on either side. And the why will allow you to harness that energy, that light. That why will take you from motivation to inspiration. The what will get you motivated, right? It'll get you started. And there's a lot of people out there are great motivators. I try to be a little motivation, but I really focus on being inspirational. I want to be the guy, let some of these other guys get you all juiced up. I want to take you there. Let them get you up when you're down. I want to take you there with pragmatic advice, with lessons and strategies and elements, and all the things through my journey that I've learned to step by step allow somebody to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of their potential, not mine.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that. And you talked about parents, and I just did an article through LinkedIn and whatnot about well-being and everything, and I referred back to my grandparents saying, and I'm sure most grandparents have said this: as long as we have our health, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's true, and now if you look at where we are, I mean, the speed of the change, technology in the last 50 years, not to mention the last 10 years, is unbelievable. COVID-19, social, economic impact, both. And what I want to know is, knowing the experiences you've gained from participating, watching sports, how that impacts us greatly as human beings, all those things put together, how do you see the future of work, the future of business, in the sense of what we think is important?
That's so great. I believe that our values have been adjusted because we have time to look at our values. And I think a lot of people have forgotten a lot of things. I was talking to Deepak Chopra last week, who said the real change is that people cannot take their existence for granted. And you just said it, right? That's health is one. When you don't take your existence for granted, health becomes a priority. It really does. And so does family. And as much as I have thought about, empowering people, about having, my priorities have always been a minimum of an hour a day on my health, a minimum of half an hour with my wife, half an hour with my 10-year-old, 2 minutes with the teenage daughters, 1 minute with my mom. I go by minimum of time, right? So I have my values: health first, because if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of others. Then my family, then my associates, then my community, state, country, and world. Interestingly enough, right, when you question your existence, you are forced to prioritize the things that are important. Well, even though I've done that, my biggest lesson of COVID is that I'm not the father I thought I was. I'm not the husband I thought I was. I could be so much better. And more importantly than being a better father and a better husband, I can enjoy what I have more. I don't have to search for, once again, I told you, I was buying things that I didn't need and buying things and people that I didn't even like. Once again, I was out there trying to provide for the people that I love so much when I already had what I wanted, right? And I was giving it up for what I wanted, and it didn't make any sense. I would travel around the world with posses and doing these interviews live and thinking, raising money for charity. Well, we just did Bob Proctor is So Gracious to the Unstoppable event. Mm-hmm. And our biggest concern is we do so many live events to raise money for Unstoppable. All these great leaders let us come to and cannibalize their audience for good, which we certainly appreciate. Unbelievable. I started thinking about, just on the charitable side, we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars with Bob Proctor last weekend, and it didn't cost us a penny. Right? Usually, you got the videos and the people and the travel, and it's the whole weekend of time, and you think you're doing this for the good of the world, and meanwhile your family is struggling, right? A whole weekend gone, and yes, I do the martyr Meltzer. Oh, but I have to do it for the kids in Africa. I'd stay. What do you? And it's BS. This is what COVID allow us to do, is to reevaluate our values and really get a slap in the face of what are you experiencing. And I think my biggest challenge now is, what is it going to look like for David Meltzer when I'm able to have a full, I work in the sports industry and I travel 200 days a year, and I'm already talking to my wife about how many days I'm going to work from home.
No. Well, that is the future of work has been sped up greatly. There's going to be stuff like people staying home, and what are they going to do with the excess office space? It's going to turn into residential. It's going to turn into daycare centers. It's going to turn into other stuff. But what you say is so right on. I run a lot too when I'm traveling, and I remember used to, in my business, I had to go interview final candidates in executive search in person years ago. So you have to fly to the airport, meet someone, this and that, and the other, and go back. What a waste of time and money to do that, where I just do it like this now. Thank God that ended years ago, but it's a great point you make. It gives us time to really think. And I'd even recommend a book. I don't know if you ever heard of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Even in suffering.
That's the mindset of all mindset books. That's so good.
Great book. Hey, so what role do you see then current and even graduating upcoming leaders who care to ensure that the financial, the physical, and the mental well-being of their people, their talent, are they going to like pay more attention to it and understand that it's so critical for their business, but also flows into the community.
I think we're seeing a little bit of it right now as we get a little farther along of the pause. What's really going to be the challenge as a leader is the noise. And so you're really going to have to focus, whether it's on the health of our spectrum or the financial well-being, whatever it may be. There's so much accessibility and noise that the people that can really focus on their frequency, their spectrum, and their clear message. Because as this is all created together right now, the next evolution is back to these smaller groups. Right? These smaller groups where you have great credibility, where you have personal and emotional attachment. Even LinkedIn, we were with this founder of LinkedIn yesterday, Eric Lee, and they're going to a hub strategy. So, one of the biggest issues is so much noise and credibility issues, not just the news. What is the real stable data and news, but it's actual people. There's so many people that are not what they appear to be. So, financially, blockchain makes micro communities. Marketing wise, Dave Meltzer is his own marketing community, right? And we're older, so we get it. When we had businesses in the old days, take Indiana, which is my favorite. They put the courthouse in the middle, the barbershop, the law office, the dental office, right? Everything around the courthouse. And there's 300,000 people, and they all fed into the center of town. And that was your community. And you made a beautiful life. The very successful people did fine, everything. Well, the irony is now Dave Meltzer hits 4.2 billion people, in his accessibility, has 30 million people a week that are looking, right? And these numbers, these kids just, but these are business relationships. I mean, it's extraordinary. So what's going to happen is things are going to close back down into a hub where we all have credibility and there is a verification and there's stable data that we can help each other, because we don't need, 30 million people in our network. And unfortunately today, a lot of people, and look, some of these kids are making a fortune on TikTok and Instagram, posting, the dancing bear, I call it. You can only be a dancing bear. Look, the circus went out of business too. So will you. I'm trying to tell these young kids right now, but if you can provide value and your frequency, your spectrum, and a clear message, if you're an expert at painting nails, this is a new age for you, because you can get the million people who love to paint their nails and you could be the expert painting nails. That I get, but this is the real difference, going back to these credible hubs.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And one thing I've learned over the years is the thing that fills people's heart and soul more than anything is belonging to a community. And sometimes if you try to solve yourself climate control or solve this whole thing, chances are you're probably not going to do anything, rather than doing like you're doing, focusing on what you do best. And if each of us does it, then the community benefits, is what should happen.
Yeah, it's the connectedness. We get to see the oneness of everyone. If we all find our own superpowers and utilize them and put them in the right place, it's all going to fit together in an abundant world of more than enough. It's math to me. Yeah,
and just a couple of last things to speak about, doing some good stuff. We were fortunate to get the executives of Pepsi. In about 2.5 days, we got the executives of Pepsi to tie into John Krasinski, who we work with, and Some Good News, and Guy Fieri, and donate $3 million to the Restaurant Employees Relief Fund on John's show and everything. And nobody made money on it, which wasn't the point. It was, but the feeling you get from that is obviously incredible. And the relationship you get from that and community. And it takes unfortunately, sometimes it takes sometimes that little kid getting hit in a small town by a car and they finally put up the stop sign.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And sometimes it takes everybody to get sent to their rooms to clean the environment.
No kidding. So with that statement, you may have answered it a little bit. What piece of advice would you give the graduates right now, the future leaders who care, if you could just tell them a couple things?
Yeah. So number one, capabilities. I define capabilities as your skills, your knowledge, and that common denominator of success, which is the must be what you can be attitude. And if you're developing your skills, not only by practicing, but by asking for help with mentorship, if you're not acquiring knowledge, not only by seeking it, but also through mentorship, and if you're not practicing ending fear, living an inspired life to be what you must be, you're making a huge mistake. These capabilities that you develop right now, these knowledge that you gain in the inspiration that you get, it's going to separate you, because you could take those capabilities and make them synergistic and supplementary to a ton of new opportunities that will avail themselves as we progress. They already have, but they're going to continue to progress. And as the more skills you have, the more options you have. The more knowledge you have, the more options you have. And I will tell you, the most common denominator, how many options that you'll have, and the key to success, the thermostat of life, is how happy and inspired you are. So if you develop the practice to stay inspired, to must be what you can be, and I have formulated as enjoy, find the light, the love in the lessons, in the consistent everyday, persistent, without quit of your potential. Don't vote for what other people want for you. There's plenty of other people that will tell you what they want for you. You're going to end up resenting them. Take it like a handful of sand. Be grateful for the sand. Let it fall through the cracks in your fingers if it doesn't align with your values. So that's what I say. Last piece of advice as well, as I always tell kids, be kind to your future self and do good deeds.
Can't end it better than that, so I'm not going to say anything because it wouldn't be right. Love you, man. Great job. Thanks to Jake and Justin for helping out, and be well, and we'll talk soon.
We'll do it again. Thanks. Call me if you need anything. I appreciate you.
You too, man. Bye, guys.
Thanks.